Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Karen from Created by Karen, and this is Flosstube number 4. I thought I would come on and give you an update on feeding the horse progress and a new Halloween pattern that I purchased a few weeks ago, and I can't remember if I showed you or not, but I thought I'd show you again because it's a cute pattern and it's not that big. And if you're interested in it, it could easily be done for Halloween time this year. Um, I'm not planning on doing it, sorry about that, until for next year's Halloween because I have other commitments. Well, not commitments, but I do other crafts. I do card making and crocheting, and I am flat out of cards, so I need to get a few more of those made. And also, the holidays, Christmas is coming up, and I want to start on a few Christmas projects, so I've got to kind of balance cross stitch and card making, and I do crocheting, but that's mostly just for fun in between when I don't feel like doing cross stitch or the card making. Um, so actually, I think I will show you the Halloween pattern first. I think I may have showed it this last time, but I'm not sure. So anyways, that's the pattern. Um, I just think it's really, really cute. So even though I'm not buying any more patterns, I'm trying to save my money for Stitch North next year. This one was on sale only for a few dollars, so when I saw it, I bought it. So this is from Etsy. The name of the pattern is Funny Pumpkin, and the name of the store, I think, is SA Patterns. It's a Russian. The designer name is Zamornia Alexandra. See if I can hold that closer for you to see. I think it may be SA Stitch on Etsy. But I'm sure if you wrote Funny Pumpkin, it would come up because that's the name of the title. But the pattern itself is just a little over 7 by 7 inches. So it, oops, sorry. Try not to get the glare. I'm also filming at night for the first time. So, kind of fiddling with the light. So anyways, that's the Halloween pattern that I just purchased recently, and it possibly could be still on sale. And when I figure out how to post links, I will start doing that, so you could just click on the link if you see something that I purchased that you liked on Etsy. So now we'll move on to feeding the horse. I gotta move you back a little. Don't mind, I'm in my stitchy corner, so I have the magnifying light here turned on, facing down, for some more light and a couple lights in the back. And on my end, it looks pretty good, and positioned it so you don't get a glare off my TV. So let me see how this is going to take up the whole screen. But we'll start here before I go down. When I left the last time, I had all of this to finish. So I finished that. This is the very top now. So that's the top. And then if I move back, there, now you can see the whole thing. And then I also finished the reins and the pail, and the base of the nose of the horse. And the reins, the tip of the reins is the bottom. So that's as tall as it's going to get. And basically that is one half of the pattern. So normally when I start a project, oh, most of my hair's not looking. I delivered food all day, and I guess I look a little frumpled after that. But anyways, I literally have half the pattern done. I'm using a paper pattern, so I can't give you stitch counts or anything like that because I'm not stitching it on Pattern Keeper or something like that. But even though I'm literally half done, in stitch count I'm nowhere near half done because this is almost all solid block. So I am pretty sure that this side stitch count is probably could be close to double of what I did over here, just for all this solid section, which is almost probably a 2-inch square at least, maybe more, like actually stitched. Which also brings me to a few more things that I had wanted to mention and tips for this. So anyways, for 14 count, the pattern suggested 10.7 skeins, and I purchased 12, and I made a boo-boo, so I had to tear it out, so I thought, oh, I better go get a few more skeins just in case. Turned out the color I picked out, the brown I chose, just got discontinued, so the local stores were out of it, and I did manage to get a few more skeins, just in case. But to bring back to the point, like I said, the pattern calls for 10.7 skeins, and what you just saw is literally 2 skeins and 22 inches off of the third skein. So that kind of tells you how much floss you're going to be using on that cap. So that's why I know, even though I'm literally finished half the pattern, it is nowhere near half the stitches. So the second half I'm pretty sure will be taking me a little bit longer. And I think I've been going back and forth of where to pick off because I literally am straight down the middle. The middle was the tip right here. And that's where I started. Hold on, excuse me. I was trying to pause that, but didn't make it. So I started in the center because I wasn't able to find a piece of Aida cloth wide enough that I liked the quality of it. So it made me limited with just a tad over an inch on either side left for finishing. Top and bottom is fine. I've got plenty. So I did start in the center, and it just ironically turned out that it was literally one stitch over when I started this part of the rein. And I wanted to see some of the horse come to life, so I worked my way up and over to the eye, which turns out the eye, I had to frog the whole section because when I printed this out, I didn't realize that the scale on my printer got changed. So it cut off the bottom 4 lines of the pattern. And I thought it was just a printing error. And when I tried to line it up, I just figured the overlap wasn't there. And so I stitched from one page. As I think, if I remember, I think this was the second page. So basically going across this pattern was like 2.5 pages. So somewhere around here I crossed over, and when I went to double check myself after I finished the eye is when I realized when it didn't line up. When I double checked on this part of the rain, it didn't line up. So I was trying to figure out what happened. Then I went back to the printer, found that the scale was changed. So my advice is, if you're going to use a paper pattern, check to make sure your scale is correct so you get the entire pattern and not do what I did. Stitch it anyways without checking and then have to tear it out. So anyways, I learned from now on to double check my patterns. Then the other thing I'm doing, oops, that wasn't good. I am keeping my pattern attached directly to my scroll rod as I'm stitching. That way I get the pattern in my magnifying light and the fabric. And seeing that my eyes aren't what they were 30 years ago, it kind of helps having the pattern magnified also. So I'm using highlighter, and I'll show you a little bit of this, and I'm marking off as I go. But my suggestion is, if you do this method, make sure you fold the paper in half or put the paper underneath, because if you use marker or highlighter, it's going to go through. So you don't want to get that on your fabric. And also, if you're going to stitch one of her monochrome and you're going to use a paper pattern, double check like everything. I learned the hard way. So now, not only am I marking my stitches, as I'm stitching, I will compare that stitch to a feature that I already did to make sure they lined up, because I clearly, even marking my stitches, you know, what I do is I stitch one strand, and it's usually like a 12 to 15 inch strand. I stitch that, and when I finish that strand, before I grab another strand, I go and I mark the stitches off. But I still screwed up, so I had to frog a second time, because even though I had everything marked, I still somehow thought I was on the spot that I was at on the pattern, on the fabric, and I wasn't. And I wouldn't have caught that if I didn't decide I'm going to start double checking. You know, now that I had more of the pattern done, there was more for me to do that. So I highly suggest doing that if you use a paper pattern. And even on Pattern Keeper, with a monochrome pattern like this, I think it can still be easy to start off, you know, in the wrong spot on your fabric. Which it may not be a bad idea to put your needle minder with your needle pointing where you left off, or something to mark where you left off, so you don't pick up on a different spot in the fabric thinking that's where you left off. Which, if it's like a full coverage, that's harder to do. But on this, because there's so many non-stitch parts, and some of the stitches repeat themselves, so it's kind of easy at times to just start off on the fabric in a different spot than you thought you were. So that's a suggestion I have, and I'm still enjoying stitching this pattern. I know it's one color, and a lot of people say that they get bored just with one color, but this is different than stitching a sampler with one color, because you're actually seeing the design come to life, which I'm finding interesting. And that's one of the things I like about cross-stitch and craft in general, is seeing something turn into something else. So I'm finding that enjoyable, and I'm doing it, as I mentioned, I'm doing it on a scroll rod, so when I'm stitching the pattern, I unrolled it now, but I am only seeing like this much of the pattern, and because I was working towards the bottom, I'm not seeing the full picture. I'm seeing the area I'm stitching on come to life. But then when I take it off the scroll rod for a YouTube video or just to look at, it's, amazes me every time at how, beautiful this pattern's turning out. And not because of my stitching, but the design is just amazing. So I encourage you to go to Stitch and Jules Etsy store, which is Stitch and Jules Designs. And she also has a YouTube, which is Stitch and Jules Designs also. And if you watch her YouTube channel, she has a whole bunch of her patterns that she has stitched already along the background, on her walls, so you can see the array of different patterns she has. And there's probably something that just about everybody will like, because what I'm showing you is just one particular design. She has color design, she has other monogram, or not monogram, the monochrome patterns, and there's architecture ones, there's other animals, there's vintage cars, there's color patterns. So if you get a chance, I encourage you to take a look. And I think that's all I have for you today. I'll be back. I think my next video is more progress on feeding the horse, and I think I'm going to pull out my past finishes to show you, and anything else I come up with. And I would love if you enjoy like I said, I can't talk. Anyways, if you enjoy seeing what I'm showing in my videos, I'd love for you to like and subscribe. And until the next video, I will see you then, and hope you stay well and have a good week. Bye.